Hello and welcome to another morning update live on NTN, bringing you the latest developments from the government of St. Lucia for today, Thursday, the 10th of December, 2020. My name is Jessie Leonce. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you always keeping locked and keeping abreast as to what is happening from St. Lucia, especially as we keep watch over COVID-19. If you're joining us on air, online, a special good morning to you. Residents here in St. Lucia, good morning on the up and up and going about your daily business today. Good morning to you. Thank you for making us your morning station. Also, St. Lucians in the diaspora looking to see what's going on in their homeland. Thank you for tuning in to ensure that you are keeping abreast as well. St. Lucia is recording its third COVID-19 related death. Unfortunately, we'll have the details to that coming from the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George. And also we have a NEMAC announcing amendments to COVID-19 measures following a decline in cases registered in the last couple of weeks or so as compared to earlier on in November and October. We'll also be going back to a press conference held following a NEMAC meeting held yesterday to get the details of what transpired, what the announcements are, and what protocols will obtain and take effect on December 15th, running toward the 11th of January. The Forestier and Bagatelle Land Stabilization Project is going to be completed soon. We will also take a look at that. And the Creole language takes center stage in the annual UNESCO competition. The details to these headlines and more we have on the other end of this break. Do stay tuned.
Overnight, growing national unrest.
Society, a digital cashless society, one world currency.
A vaccine for COVID-19.
Midtown
Droplets over patient virus.
Macy's iconic flagship. Set inside
The coronavirus. Everybody vaccinated on the corona pandemic.
The opposition stay the lockdown.
An infected
Conspiracy theories about the coronavirus.
bizarre claims.
The truth about the origin of COVID-19 hidden from the rest of the world. And the Chinese.
In this constantly changing environment, resulting in sensory overload, cut through the noise and tune in to the National Television Network, the official source of information, all facts.
Good morning once again. Thank you for staying tuned to the morning update live on NTN. If you're just joining us, a special good morning to you as well. New decisions and protocols to take effect December 15th, focused around a subtle reduction in restrictions. That announcement made following a NEMAC meeting. We had the authorities convening a press conference listing the protocols and what is new, especially the permissions for the Christmas season. We'll get into the details of that in just a moment. But first, St. Lucia records its third COVID-19 related death. We now go over to Dr. Sharon Belmar-George with a statement from the Department of Health and Wellness.
Today, Wednesday, November 9th, 2020, the Ministry of Health and Wellness received confirmation of one new case of COVID-19 from a batch of 140 tests. This brings a total number of cases diagnosed in country to date to 271. Case number 271 is a 10-year-old male from the Castries district. The individual was seen at a community respiratory clinic where he was assessed and tested for COVID-19. He was placed in quarantine by the health practitioner while awaiting the return of his test results. An epidemiological link has been established for this case. As per protocol, arrangements have been made for his transfer into isolation. Today, the Ministry of Health also received confirmation of its third COVID-19 related death. The individual is an 83-year-old male from the Soufre district. He was diagnosed with COVID-19 virus on November 22, 2020. He was being treated for other health-related conditions. The Ministry of Health, we recognize that this is a difficult time for the family and loved ones of these gentlemen. We share our sympathies with them for this loss. The Ministry of Health also recorded today 8 COVID-19 recoveries, bringing the new total number of active cases currently in country to 91. To date, St. Lucia has recorded a total of 177 recoveries. We once again encourage everyone to maintain the recommended infection prevention and control guidelines of hand hygiene, use of a face mask in public places, which covers the mouth, chin, and the nose, and maintaining the separation of 6 feet when in public. If experiencing flu-like symptoms, keep away from others and seek medical care immediately at the closest community respiratory clinic. The Ministry of Health and Wellness will continue providing updates as new information becomes available.
That was the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmont George, informing us of the third COVID-19 related death registered here in St. Lucia. To date, we also have, the individual succumbing is an 83-year-old male from the Suffolk district. He was diagnosed with the COVID-19 virus in November the 22nd, and he was being treated for other health-related conditions. The ministry recognizes that this is a difficult time for the family and loved ones of this gentleman. And of course, even from the GIS, we extend our sympathies with you all for this loss. We have also registered another case of COVID-19 as well. Case number 271 is a 10-year-old male from the Catholic district, and that individual was seen and tested for COVID-19. He was placed in quarantine by a health practitioner while awaiting the return of his test result. An epidemiological link has been established for this case, and as per protocol, we know that the contact tracing efforts will be underway, and the individual has been transferred into isolation for care. And despite this, this latest unfortunate news, we have overall seen a decline in cases of COVID-19 here in St. Lucia as compared to October and earlier November. We've seen a reduction in the last few weeks, and it is on that basis, coming from the Chief Medical Officer with information from the epidemiological unit, the Chief Medical Officer who noted this trend did indicate that it is not a reason for us to relax, but most importantly, it's in an effort we must now move toward maintaining the gains that we have made. Nonetheless, we have seen, based on yesterday's press conference, a reduction in restrictions to allow for a degree of enjoyment and festivity for the season. However, there is the protocols remain in effect, however subtle in that reduction. I just want to go to a few clips coming from the chairman of the COVID-19 Command Center. And in the update to the nation, they did announce these new decisions and protocols to take effect December 15th through to January 11th, focused on this subtle reduction in restrictions, as I mentioned earlier. These include permissions for Christmas and social gatherings, dine-in, and permissions at restaurants and bars, and extended hours for business operations and commercial activities. You would remember, or you would know that the commercial activity and business operations must cease by 9 p.m. Well, come effective December 15th, this will be extended, and the businesses will now have to close at 11 p.m. and this will give enough time for the staff to be sent home by 11 p.m. in order to curb the movement of persons past midnight. We go to our first clip of Honorable Dominic Fede, Chairman of the COVID-19 Command Center.
This was to allow for the facilitation of Christmas shopping, so that we can reduce the number of crowds, so that we can allow businesses to better manage the flow of individuals that are going through the various business places during the Christmas period.
And that was the Honorable Dominic Fede there, speaking on the decision to extend business activity here in St. Lucia because just giving accommodation for the Christmas season. Banks, credit unions, and other services are encouraged to increase working hours and teller numbers where possible to reduce excessive lines while ensuring protocol adoption during the holiday season. We so far seen the protocols considered. Sometimes the lines may look longer, than they really are, but still it has an effect on the mind. You feel like you're queuing up behind a fulfilling people. But there is the effort, the admonition on the part of the government of St. Lucia for banks, credit unions, and other services to increase working hours, thereby giving persons the ability to be able to go on these lines, get in and out as soon as possible. Slaughterhouses and butchers can remain open, and employers are also encouraged to institute shopping days in order to reduce long lines and the Christmas shopping rush. Also, restaurants and bars will also be allowed to operate up until 11 p.m., as with the other commercial activity. Patrons will then be permitted to dine in at these establishments. Social gatherings for the holiday season are restricted to 25 individuals. However, authorities strongly discourage parties. No allowance is given for mass gatherings or social events of any kind. There's no loud permits that will be given for this 4-week period, so do not apply. There is no effort to have any sort of social gathering that may pose unnecessary risk at this time as we watch COVID-19.
But as it relates to funerals and christenings and weddings and other religious rites, what we have indicated is that they can now move to 50. The churches have done a tremendous job in facilitating and enforcing the protocols, and so therefore we are in a very comfortable position to be able to allow them greater flexibility to be able to manage the flow of traffic through the various institutions.
Honorable Dominic Fede there again. And religious institutions also, if I'm looking at the list of the protocols, the decisions and protocols taking effect to reduce a reduction in the restrictions, religious institutions will also be permitted to carry out services according to the square footage of their houses of worship, and the maximum number of religious rites attendees has been increased for this period as well. We have that clip from Dominic Fede speaking on the religious rights. So while you have the religious institutions remaining being permitted to carry out services according to the square footage, there is also accommodation for the religious institutions to conduct religious rites, including christenings, weddings, and funerals, being limited to 50 individuals, inclusive of observers and service leaders. The churches must strictly enforce exit plans from the church compound. Just to wrap up the update to the nation press conference, all non-contact sports are allowed, gyms as well for this time, this 4-week period. You can continue to, there's the continued admonition for businesses to institute work-from-home policies where possible, and the previous protocols on education is maintained. So these protocols, a reduction in the restrictions based on reduced incidence of cases here on island, will take effect on December 15th and run until January 11th, where it will be subject to review. So these are the provisions for the Christmas season. If you want to take a closer look at what permissions are being offered to you, you can go onto our Facebook page and take a look at them in detail. Stay tuned. We are due for a break. When we come back, we take a look at some more news, and we have a special interview. Stay with us.
We at war with the virus. It's not the answer. We can win this together. Often use hand sanitizer. Better yet, use soap and water.
We must protect each other if we are to beat this corona.
Together, let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together, let us win this war. Be a soldier, together we can beat this corona.
So you don't become the next case. Avoid touching your face. I'm sure you've been told so. Handshakes and hugging are a no.
Advice give you the please.
Cover your mouth and your nose if you cough or sneeze.
Practice social distancing and avoid large social gatherings.
Together let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together let us win this war. St. Lucia, be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
For further information, please contact the hotline at 311 or the Bureau of Health Education at 468-5349.
She's been watching, waiting, wondering when the sands of time will give way to a tide of change, and for yesterday and today to become a new tomorrow. For a time when her sun can kiss the cheeks of your loved one and her stars can twinkle in her honeymoon skies. When her earthly embrace will reassure and calm your soul. And her unique view can change your whole perspective. Proudly, she has risen to meet new challenges and to provide safe harbor to all who reach her shores. For her hopes and dreams still stand, shoulder to shoulder, a precious reminder of experiences yet to come. So, wherever your moments and memories take you, let her sense of adventure set you free. She is St. Lucia. Let her inspire you.
Thank you so much for staying with us. This is the Morning Update live on NTN. We've so far brought you a few updates, especially COVID-19 related. We continue to respond to COVID-19. Thankfully, we've seen a reduction in cases in the last few weeks, and this has allowed for the authorities to reduce the restrictions to some degree, allowing permissions for the Christmas season and what have you. Unfortunately, we've also registered a third COVID-19 related death, an 83-year-old from the Suffolk district, and our sympathies going out to his loved ones during this time of loss. Also registering another case of COVID-19 here on island, case number 271, a male, a 10-year-old male from Castries. We continue with this morning's update with a special interview this morning from Ms. Linnell Malzed, the Director of Innovation within the Ministry of Education, here to speak to us a little bit about the innovation and career development centers that are on island. And we know at this time, more than ever, persons are looking to think up new ways to rebrand themselves, recreate themselves, think up new ways to create new opportunities for themselves and their communities. And I think, first of all, good morning to you, Ms. Malzer.
Good morning, Jeffrey. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. And I was just thinking that, you know, if ever there was a time that these centers, these institutions were important, it is now, as we are experiencing this post-COVID world where persons need to think differently and begin to capitalize in different ways. Economies without boundaries in all of these senses. Just speak to us generally about our innovation and career development centers on island. How many do we have? And how can persons in these various communities capitalize on their services?
Thank you, Jesse. The Innovation and Career Development Centers are a rebranded product that is offered through the Department of Education, Innovation, and Gender Relations. In the past, there used to be the Human Resource Development Centers, and some of them have continued to be, but we have 8 of them that were passed on to the Department of Education, Innovation, and Gender Relations for the purpose of building that kind of entrepreneurial ecosystem of strengthening and providing opportunities for persons, particularly in rural St. Lucia, where access is still an issue. So we have these 8 centers that were rebranded last year in July from the HRDCs, or some of them were ICT centers, to Innovation and Career Development Centers. The thinking behind the concept is that We want to drive an innovation ecosystem in St. Lucia. We want to strengthen that. But we recognize that you may have inventors, innovators, entrepreneurs emerging. But if you do not have a strong support system, if you cannot rely on the personnel to help drive those small businesses, enterprises, etc., then you have not done much for its growth. Because of a failure on the part of your secretary, a failure on the part of your line staff, you may end up losing significant opportunities and actually find yourself in a position of great loss. And in small businesses, there's very little leverage for those kinds of shortcomings. So the career development component is with the view to strengthen those soft skills in our citizenship, and then they now can give the kind of support to persons who are more inclined to entrepreneurial activities. There are 8 on island, and they are purposefully located in the 4 quadrants. So we have in the north, we have the Moshi Center. It is in this area where, near to the school, where you have the playing field and all those mangoes right there. Yes, so it's like an icon in that area, the Moshi Center. Then we move further to Gara in Babuno. And it is purposefully located upstairs the Mothers and Fathers Hall in the post office, because that's a major buzz or hub area in that Babuno area in Gara. If we move to the west coast now, we start with Ancillary, and there's one right next to the library in Ancillary, just before the police station and the bridge. And then we move further down to Canaries, and just in the corner, next to your district council, you would have the center right there to serve the people, and there's a laundry area. So I'm saying the locations to communicate that we made sure that it's in a very public place where the persons within that environment can actually access, whether they're on their way to do their grocery shopping or visit a grandparent, that you would encounter this building as you go about your route. Then we go down further to Soufrière. There's one in Soufrière next to the primary school and opposite this old the oil factory. And on its right, you have the mini stadium. Moving along to Vieux Fort. In the town of Vieux Fort, we have a center there, and it is opposite what used to be the old Valmont building in Vieux Fort, very prominent location, next to the church. And then in La Richousse, it is next to the La Richousse, the primary school in La Richousse, which is the Plainview combined. So persons in La Richousse can access the center there. And when we move up to the east coast, we have in Mico, in a quadrangle kind of location with the school, the community center, the Morning Eastern Cooperative Credit Union, and with the post office right next door. So these centers are placed in areas where they have visibility so that the public knows that they're there and the services. Let me just put a pin in there, Jesse. While this was the intention, but we want to communicate to the public that it belongs to you, because a lot of people pass by and they see that the center is open, they see the things, but there's this apprehension of, is this for me? Can I go in there? Will I be welcomed? Yes. So we want to say to St. Lucia, even if you have no activity that you would like to attend to, even if you have no business to go there, just go to see what is happening in there, to find out from the attendants what can you do in there, what services are available for you, what programming is being run there at the time or upcoming, so that you now can make better use of what belongs to you and what your taxpayer dollar affords for you and your children.
Have you noticed that, has it been observed that there's an underutilization of these centers?
Prior to the COVID-19, yes, I would make that assessment. But with the advent of school closing, the school closure has caused persons to recognize the possibilities. First of all, many schools have their programs for their students online. They're doing the Google Classrooms, they're doing the Moodle. And the reality is that some parents do not have connectivity at home. They do not have internet at home. In those centers, you have the Wi-Fi network. You also have internet on the machines. So the children can actually use the machines inside, or they can sit outside. We haven't had too much of a problem with being able to afford persons the utility of the place. But what we want to see is that the community takes up those centers as their own and proposes to us, what can we do to better serve you? That's what we would like to see. But we have seen an increase in the usage of the centers since.
Okay, and definitely with the students.
Certainly.
Speak to us about some of the, based on your office in terms of the Department of Innovation, what are some of the services that you can suggest that persons in the process of adopting these centers into the community and making it their own and making it work for them, what are some of the services and opportunities that they can consider, projects that they can consider in making the full use of these innovation and career development centers?
Thank you, Jessie. We have some ongoing programs that are scheduled for some of the centers, particularly in the area of enterprise development, in small business development, in entrepreneurship training. But more so, because it is a center that you can utilize for free, we would like to know that if, say, farmers in a community recognize that they're having an issue, that they can reach out and identify possible persons to help them manage their situation, and that they can use those centers for their training exercises or use those centers for their familiarity exercises. More so for the kids, if you have a small youth group in your area and you'd like to do something deliberate to help to increase their capacity in a particular area, or you'd like to do some training for whatever area of interest, you would like to showcase their skill sets and their abilities, that you can come to the center, make an arrangement with the attendants, and we can propose to you how best you can reach your end goal.
Okay, and I can also think of it as a synergy hub. So you have the pooling of resources. In many communities, you may have young people who might be skilled in graphic design, or you might have a farmer who doesn't know how to properly market his produce. So I could definitely see where the community members can come together and begin to identify what are the strengths and weaknesses in terms of the human resource capabilities of the individuals in these communities, and be able to maximize on the product offering from the particular area.
Very well, Jessie. As a matter of fact, the more persons that the attendants encounter, the more they are in a position to help draw on attention to that person's skills and abilities. So then they now can assist in that networking that you are proposing to reach the people who need the service that you provide.
Absolutely. Also thinking of these centers as satellites for the Department of Innovation, because you have persons who may be in a community who might have an idea and come up being very, having ingenuity, coming up with an idea to improve certain sectors, critical sectors in our society. Speak to the significance of being able to identify genius and creativeness and inventiveness from these various communities being tracked back to the head office of innovation.
Jessie, it seems you were reading my brief.
Oh.
Yes, Jessie. Because a lot of the times persons within the government departments, we're located in the city. There is a tendency to focus on things around the city. And the genius behind those centers being in the rural communities is that these are places that are not always overt and in your face. So there may be people doing great things. For example, you are aware of the gentleman who produced the desalinating machine. He too is from a rural community. And so unless somebody goes into those small communities and brings it to the nation's attention, the mindset is that nothing is happening. But I will tell you, Jessie, you cannot find a more creative set of people as persons who live in rural St. Lucia, because they have the challenge of making it happen. despite where they are located and what their resources are. We often come across persons who are deliberately making efforts to create their small businesses, but because of their location, they cannot scale up. So when they access the services from the center, then we are aware of them. We can now send our our specialists to them, make arrangements. We do some small clinical sessions with them where we can look at their business, look at their branding, look at their marketing, look at their costing, because that's also, their pricing is also an issue where people may sell it at this price because that's the price they believe people can pay for it, but the product may be far more than what they actually are asking for the product. So we use those centers to identify those persons and then point them to the bureaus where they can get the assistance so that they can become better, stronger, and they can grow.
Wonderful. Our time is running out for this morning's interview, but it would be remiss of me if I did not engage you on the general activities of the Department of Innovation. So far, we came off of the UNDP Jeff People's Parliament, where there was a wealth of information coming out of that. What are the intentions of the Department of Innovation going forward? We're in the decade of innovation, in changing the culture of the people, in understanding that there's just much more to innovation than meets the eye.
Yes, Jessie. We are consciously trying to infiltrate the minds of St. Lucians to communicate that while digital technology does fall within the realm of innovation, but innovation crosses every single industry, and that you can be innovative, you can change, you can add value, you can frame your value proposition no matter what you do. For example, you, Jessie, you can innovate this program.
Certainly.
Yes, we could take this program to the streets. We could take this program to the centers.
It's all in draft form.
Yes. So there have been small activities that we have. The downside of it is that because of the restrictions of the protocols, the pandemic's protocols, we have not been able to do those public canvassing that we had hoped. But meanwhile, we remain very active on paper, working on our innovation policy, which has now been changed to the Science, Technology and Innovation Policy for greater traction, for greater completeness in terms of shaping the competitive advantage of St. Lucia within the region and the world. We have been working on being able to bring innovative services to a central point so that persons who have ideas that are not are more than how would I say it? You may have an idea that may surpass the capacity of the people around you who can help you.
Yes.
But that we can bring in persons and technical support from outside to actually help bring your idea to market and to the world.
Okay.
But Jessie, can I stick opinion? I would like to also make mention of the support of the Department of Youth Development. The Department of Youth Development, through its Youth Worker Program, has been a great support to the Innovation Division in allowing our Innovation and Career Development Centers to all remain opened. As you are aware, these are trying times and finance is not always available. However, for the support of the Department of Youth Development, we have been able to bring in young persons to work as attendants.
Nice.
Young persons with the skill sets to be able to assist those people who are coming in.
So is it just the youth workers or volunteers as well?
Well, they are volunteers to the Youth Worker Program, but they receive a stipend. Yes, please. So if somebody has never used a computer, and you'd be surprised, there are persons in St. Lucia who have never used a computer, but are very successful in terms of what they do to sustain their families. And these persons can come in and get support in a very formidable way, a very understanding way, humbling way, to be able to be a little more tech with it than they were before. So we are very grateful to the Department of Youth Development because had it not been for their support, perhaps we would not have as many centers opened. The great thing is that with this program coming through, a lot of young persons in St. Lucia now have the opportunity to work You prepare a CV, and the CV says, what's your experience? How do you get experience? You get experience when you work. So through that program, they get the opportunity to work with us. They learn from us. We also train them in terms of the customer service, in terms of their work ethic. And so you have better products going out, and also scouting if we recognize that they may be better suited for another department.
Wonderful.
I just want to also say that the services that are available, just to list them so that we are clear. If you need to use a machine, you want to prepare a document, you want to go to surf the internet, whether you are able or not to do this independently, you can go to the centers. If you are able to do it independently, you walk in, you register, and you do your business. But if you aren't, you will get the support of an attendant to walk you through with the respect that you deserve as a St. Lucian, and not to look down on you as in, how come you cannot do that? No. It will be done in an amicable way to help you grow and to give you a feeling that I can do this on my own someday. We also allow for persons who may, there are young people out there who are trying to get a job, but do not know where to start. So we help with the job search. We also help them in preparing for the interview so they can schedule and do a mock interview. We will print your CV, print your documents that you may need for you, and all of that will be at no cost to you. Compliments the government and people of St. Lucia. Yes, and if you need any additional support towards that end goal, the attendants will be making that available to you. But where it pertains mainly to the aspect of entrepreneurship, if you are an entrepreneur, you can access a training exercise at the center. You also can do the workforce recovery program. I don't know if you've seen the flyers in the press, Jessie. Yeah, so those machines are there, and the attendants are there to guide you in case you're having any challenges, and we could do that.
Wonderful. Ms. Linnell Miles there, thank you so much for your time. We've run out of time in terms of speaking on the Innovation and Development Centers, but it's a very critical component to helping St. Lucians who have gotten, had fallen on hard times at this point in time due to the COVID-19 pandemic, to be able to bounce back and to get a new lease on life, and also individuals in the community to begin to expand their horizons in terms of thinking bigger about their cottage business, their cottage industry, their farming and what have you. So definitely thank you for sitting in and speaking to us about this opportunity. It will be interesting to go into the communities and to begin to see how these individuals make use of the centers sometime in the future. But again, thank you. We're giving our tech Roger palpitations in the back.
Oh my goodness, Judge, I'm sorry.
We'd like to thank you so much for watching. I did mention some other stories that we had to rule out for you this morning. However, you can go onto our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. We will be uploading these stories for the 24-hour news cycle, so you can remain updated. Ms. Linnell Miles, Director of Innovation within the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, speaking to us on the Innovation and Career Development Centers. You have an idea, you want to put something down, you want to prepare a CV, you want to expand, innovate your business, you're a farmer, you want to do something more with the business, as like you've seen perhaps online or on television, you can go to your nearby Innovation and Career Development Center in your community and start the work. There are people there to help you. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. My name is Jessie Leon, signing off for now. Continue to adhere to the infection prevention measures, the guidelines put out by the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and also keep in mind the protocols, the revised protocols, reduced restrictions taking effect this December 15th as we enter the Christmas season. Cheers and stay tuned for more programming from NTN.
This is a